especially in tongue. No one couldn't walk alone. Tongue was like a battle zone. But nowadays and so, I am all shocked to know.
Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. This morning we're chatting with the TTPS in the form of Inspector Michelle Lewis. Good morning to you, Inspector.
Good morning,
Happy
sir.
Monday. How are you this morning?
Thank you. Happy Monday to you too. I am well.
Nice. So this morning we're discussing situational awareness.
Yes, we are.
What does that mean? Does that just mean being aware of everything?
Yeah, well, basically, situational awareness is being aware of your surroundings and being alert and on what possible hazards can be around. That's
Now, why is that
primarily.
important?
Because it helps to prevent possible incidents and possible harms to you.
All right, so how can I, as a citizen, going about my daily life, be more aware of my surroundings? Am I supposed to be constantly like just looking over my shoulder, or I should just be on head on a swivel at all times? How are we supposed to operate?
Situational awareness is not living in fear, but it's just being more alert. So it would be being less careless and more sensitive, more alert to your surroundings and what's happening around you. Whether you are taking a walk, whether you're going to your vehicle, wherever you are. It's just being more aware and alert of your surroundings. And so in being like that, it will help you, it will help eliminate harm and serious incidents from taking place with yourself, your family, and other persons around you. Right? So you're not living like, in fear, but you're really being alert. So for example, when you look at situational awareness, we look at the acronym, which means SAFE, which means stop, alert or analyze, be aware of your environment, and of course be proactive in what you're doing, right? So one of the things that we're looking at this morning is how we can help persons to be aware of their surroundings. And in looking at some of those things, some of the things that we want to share with members of the public is how you can be aware of your surroundings at home, when you're walking in your, taking a walk around the street, or going to your vehicle. So we have a lot of times persons will put their earplugs into their ears and they'll be taking a walk, listening to the music and that kind of thing. In doing so, you prevent yourself from hearing what is taking place around you, and you're not as alert and sharp as you ought to be because you're really paying attention to your device, the sound or a call or something like that. So being more aware of your surroundings will cause you to be more alert of what is taking place around you. Another thing is that, so you are walking along an area, a particular area, pay attention to who is walking on the street. Pay attention to vehicles that are parked there. If it is that you are walking along a roadway, stay away from walking near bushy areas. Walk closer to the side, to the edge, rather than closer where somebody can hold on to you. In so doing, you also have to pay attention to vehicles that are passing. So a lot of times, persons tend not to pay attention to the side of the road that they're actually walking on. So you walk on the side of the road for the incoming traffic that you can see when a vehicle is going to stop near you, as opposed to you walking in the same direction of the traffic where you cannot see or be alert.
If it's a one-way street, you just do walk in that direction?
Well, if it's a one-way street, most times in a one-way street is either a three-lane traffic or something like that.
No, Marava Road is one way and there's only one lane going on the road?
Well, it's two lanes. It's two sets of traffic and there are pavements on either side of the road.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So, but in that case, you should only walk up Marava Road. You shouldn't walk down because...
No, well, you can, and there are pavements on both sides of the road.
Okay.
Now, you get parking on Marava Road, you may get parking on one side of the road. And because it has a school, sometimes you get a congestion, right? And other businesses.
Okay.
So you have to be very alert and aware in terms of ever so often taking a look back to see if, someone is following you, listen to the sound of a vehicle slowing down, the tooting of a horn, if someone in themselves need help and calling out for help. So situational awareness really means being more alert and focused.
Being more alert and being more aware. And I understand that and I agree. I have heard so many women especially complain over the years that sometimes, they might be walking in a busy area, as the case may be, and they put in those AirPods and they put in those headphones to try and avoid some of the suits and the calls and the cat calls and the blowing a horn and all these things that they're not dangerous to them per se. However, they could be annoying. and they want to block it out because they want to focus on whatever day they might have ahead of them or whatever other problems they're dealing with in life. So I understand the desire to be, have people be more alert, but we're also dealing with some things that are culturally, Trinbagonian or Caribbean, as they say, and some people are trying to preserve their mental health as well. Where do we find that balance?
So you may have an earplug in your ear. You may not be listening to anything.
Okay.
But it would reduce the clarity of song that you would get because of the mere fact that you have an earplug in your ear. At some point in life, you must realize that according to the culture of Trinidad, you get some picong, you have to, I want to use the term, let it just fall off, you know what I mean? But not everybody has that grit, right? That tenacity. But at the same time, you don't want your emotions to get the better of you when you put your safety at risk. Because if it is that you do have earplugs in your ear and you're not able to be alert all the time, then you can likely be a victim of some kind of offense sooner and easier.
Inspector, I have to ask, because you're mentioning this, and I remember seeing two specific videos recently. One was a young lady parked a vehicle in her garage, or what appeared to be her garage. She waited in the vehicle for a bit. She looked around. She was aware of her surroundings. She came out of the vehicle. She picked up all her belongings. She looked around her surroundings again, make sure everything was safe, closed the vehicle. She checked in her porch, make sure everything was safe. She entered her porch and her gallery. Now, while she was entering her porch and her gallery, where she could not see anymore, two young men approached the vehicle, and she was, busy trying to open her door because she already did all her safety precautions, all her safety checks that you just recommended, keeping her head alert and looking around. So at this point, she was looking in her bag to get her keys to open the front door. And in that moment of looking down to get her keys to open the front door, the two young men would have burst in, held her up, take her bag, take the car keys, take her car, and left. How do you recommend she would have been more alert? Like how much more alert could she have been in that moment?
I know the video that you spoke of. It's unfortunate that happened to her, and the matter has been investigated. Your perception of what took place and mine would be different.
Okay.
In looking at it step by step, right? So I would not comment on in relation to some of the things that you just mentioned relative to safety. But indeed, the woman did come out her vehicle, and she, in entering her home, she was ambushed by two men, right? And of course, fear came. They took her handbag, they took her vehicle, and that kind of thing. So we had some criminal elements taking place there, right? But one of the things that situational awareness allows you to do in the first instance is to stop and pay attention to your environment, your surroundings, and what is happening. Secondly, it allows you to analyze the situation. If something or someone comes up to you, what will you do? If it is that you have pepper spray on you, are you in a position to utilize it quickly? If you have something else that you are legally able to hold and use, are you in a position to utilize it quickly? Because we do have persons who have legal firearms, but for whatever reason, they're not in a place that they can really access it. You also have persons who have pepper spray, and because they are not aware of their surroundings or conscious of what could possibly happen or forecast things, then they're not in a position to quickly access it, to be able to use it. So when you talk about situational awareness, you talk about being able to stop and gather the information, you talk about analyzing the situation. We also look at the environment and what are possibly there. And you also look to find what you can do to help the situation. So in not wanting to discuss that situation, right, because it is traumatic to her and to whoever else was in the home at the point in time, and of course anybody else, a level of fear. But you also have to analyze the situation, and you also have to look at what other possible assistance you could have gotten at that time. So one of the good things that I noted in that video is that the person who was inside quickly closed the door so that no other harm or injury could have come to anybody else, and the person couldn't have entered the home. So the person took that and they left, and they didn't push any further. So in that case, you can see where that person inside became quickly alert, and even in that video, the woman, made an alert by saying something. And that is one of the things that situational awareness allows you to, so that don't be ashamed of shouting out. Don't be ashamed of making a scene that will cause whoever is doing something to stop. And there was a similar video.
Because I was saying there's another video where a woman was screaming at the top of her lungs. It didn't cause anybody to stop. They
but it
actually
didn't
attacked
cause
more.
further injury.
I saw not an injury.
That situation that we speak of, if it is the same, it really could have been worse. But we thank God that no life was taken,
of course.
No serious injury. The fear is there, unfortunately, but you know, because there are situations where the person say nothing, they are taken inside the home and that kind of thing. But they made a scene, and that is one of the things that situational awareness allows for. That you make a scene and don't be embarrassed to be embarrassed for your own safety and security, not just of yourself, but of others. So this is one of the things that we want to encourage persons this morning, to be very much aware of what is taking place, to be very much alert, to stop, to analyze, to find, and to establish, so that you are able to be more conscious of your environment.
Yeah. Tell me, what are we finding in the F is for find and safe, right?
Yeah, so the F is for find. So you're looking around to see if something happens, where would be a possible resource for help. If it is,
find help.
Yeah,
okay.
to find help. So
and the E
in
is
her
for
case, she shouted, and the person inside recognized what was happening and quickly closed back the door.
And the E is for what again?
The E is for establishing.
Establishing what?
So you establish, sorry. So we're safe. Stop, analyze, find, and establish. So the establish is for establish a plan or take action when threatened. That's when I said that don't be embarrassed.
To scream.
To scream.
All right, fantastic. Well,
Right,
Inspector, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing some information about situational awareness and how we can be safer as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. We take that quick break and come back with more in our morning show. Stick around.